another awesome guest on Married with Microphone.
Hey!
Hi.
Hi, hello.
Joining us on the show this week from my hometown of St. Louis is my dad, Mike Thompson. Hey, Dad.
Hello there. St. Louis, where everything is well as always, and I've got a good friend of mine on the phone with us this morning, JT, one of my best buddies in the world who has undertaken a cause that really needs to come to fruition here, I think, in a very short order. Ron Barber, former broadcaster in St. Louis, KMOX, anchorman at Channel 2, and like me, a baseball fan from the word go. Ron has been on an effort, on a mission to get a long-standing, deserving play-by-play baseball broadcaster, Jack Quinlan of the Chicago Cubs, into the Broadcasters Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Ron, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Thank you for the lovely introduction, and thanks to you and Jamie for being so very, very kind and sensitive to this cause.
Well, I got to tell you, you've had the endorsement over the years of so many big-name broadcasters. Name a few. Tell us what a guy like Vin Scully or Bob Costas has had to say in the years past about Jack Quinlan.
Well, before I do that, and I will, let me first say, Mikey, that the real imprimatur or endorsement came during Jack Quinlan's reign as the Chicago Cubs announcer on WGN. The endorsement was from millions of us kids who worshipped at his throne. It was like going into a candy shop every time we could hear Jack Quinlan broadcast. We would go to the ball games at Wrigley Field and marvel not only at the players on the field, but also do our best to look up into that WGN broadcast booth to get a glimpse of Jack Quinlan and his partner, Lou Boudreau. Why? Because Jack Quinlan had a way about him no other broadcaster in sports history had. He was amazing. His voice, his love of the game, his knowledge of the game, his sense of humor, his ability to crook his finger, if you will, and invite the kids in the audience right there into the WGN booth with him. It was a phenomenon. And I'll tell a quick story. Many is the time Jack Quinlan would leave his home to head down to Chicago to broadcast a game, and he'd see a few of the kids playing in the neighborhood, and he'd say, "Hey, guys, you want to go to a ball game today?" And sure enough, he'd have a carload of kids in with him. He would take to the ball game, and they were in hog heaven. He was a Cubby from the word go. And as far as endorsement, I'm going to tell you this right now. Over the many years, I have personally interviewed some of the greatest baseball broadcasters in history, most of whom are now gone. Every single one, bar none, has said Jack Quinlan should have been enshrined in Cooperstown long ago. In fact, Bob Costas, I'm still friends from our days at KMOX, was interviewed by a suburban Chicago newspaper reporter, and the headline was, Bob Costas, who of course is in the Hall of Fame, says it's almost a crime Jack Quinlan hasn't been elected into Cooperstown. What do you think? Here's a little bit of what absolutely mesmerized us kids back in the day.
3 balls, 2 strikes the count. One more pitch could end the ball game. You know what kind of a pitch we're hoping for. The dark one, blow it past him, Don. 3 balls, 2 strikes, Cunningham waits. Cardwell into the windup. Here's the biggest pitch of this ball game. Lined into left field. Here's one coming. He got it! He got it!
The Cubs are quartered at the Maricopa Inn, which is just 2 blocks from the ballpark. so it's a very convenient and leisurely stroll over here, although Boudreaux has driven it every time he's come over. I don't think you know how to get here, Lou, if you had to walk.
Here's the stretch and the delivery. Swing and a drive. Well hit. Way back. Maris back. He's near the wall. He caught it in the vines.
And I could go on and on with the endorsements and plaudits that I've got on tape regarding Jack Quinlan. I got a call very shortly before Joe Garagiola passed away. He said, Ron, Jack Quinlan was not only one of the finest broadcasters who ever came down the pike, but also was one of the finest gentlemen. I remember speaking to Earl Gillespie. That's a name from the old Milwaukee Braves, Mikey. And he and Blaine Walsh were the Lou Boudreaux and Jack Quinlan up in Milwaukee. We used to always tune in the Braves games. I'll tell you, Earl Gillespie was fantastic in his own right. When I talked to him, he said, Ron, I was in a bar down in Florida in our spring training when I got word Jack Quinlan had been killed, and he said, I just broke down crying. When Jack Quinlan was laid to rest at his memorial, Mikey, I was boggled to learn that it was the third largest funeral memorial service in Chicago history. He emblazoned himself, his name, his persona on us kids, most of whom are now in our 70s and early 80s. We never forgot him. We never will. It's an absolute travesty that Jack Quinlan has not been enshrined in Cooperstown. Had he lived another 3 to 5 years, I'll tell you this right now, Jack Quinlan would have quite possibly been considered the greatest baseball broadcaster who ever lived, period.
Well, that is quite an endorsement, I got to tell you. JT, did I tell you this guy was good? I mean, you know.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing about it, Ron, and you and I both know this. It's a long time overdue. Justice really needs to be served. I mean, when you think about that era and the excitement that these announcers, these play-by-play guys had for the game of baseball that they brought to the game. I mean, to take nothing away from today, but I mean, when you talk about Jack picking up kids and so forth and taking them to the ball game, I mean, announcers go to games now in limousines, for crying out loud. You know, I mean, it's a different era, but I think the love of the game, the way the play-by-play guy could bring the game to the fans in their backyard at a barbecue or in their home or on their front porch listening to the radio. You know, a lot of that has gone by the wayside. And when you hear, like we just did moments ago, the way Jack was able to do that, you're absolutely right. There's a place for Jack Quinlan in the Broadcasters Hall of Fame. Tell us how the people listening to this morning can view this video and get a little more of what we're trying to do.
Go to YouTube and just search for Jack Quinlan Baseball Hall of Fame, and I'm certain that it's going to pop up. It's already trending and picking up some traction across the YouTube platform. It is an excellent 13-minute production talking about this man, his career, and how well-loved he was, not only in Chicago, but across the country.
I'd like to also add quickly, JT and Mikey, I've had a very active Facebook page in Jack Quinlan's honor for 2 decades. It is chock full of goodies that have never been seen before, never been heard before, old photos, video, film, play-by-play, articles. Nothing like it exists in Jack Quinlan's memory other than that Facebook page. And if you're interested, I invite you to please visit facebook.com/Quinlan Cubs. And if you have email for me, QuinlanCubs@yahoo.com.
Well, Dad and Ron, I appreciate you joining us on the show this week, and we can hope that this will come to fruition for a very deserving broadcaster, Jack Quinlan. And again, that Facebook page, probably one of the best ones to check out, facebook.com/Quinlan Cubs. Dad, Ron, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you,
buddy.
bro.
JT and Leanne, married with microphones.